Picture this. December 24th, 1914. You've just survived playing football with enemy soldiers on Christmas Day. Your reward? Execution by firing squad. Ordered by your own commander. That's number 3 on this list. Christmas, the season of joy, giving, and peace on earth. Except for centuries, it wasn't. For most of human history, Christmas meant children beaten by demons, the poor hunted like animals, and grandmothers burned alive while families sang carols. This isn't folklore. It's documented history. Today, 7 Christmas traditions so disturbing they'll change how you see every decoration. Number 7, a monster that hunted poor people. Number 3, soldiers executed for being human. Number 1, still happening today. Can you imagine celebrating Christmas by watching executions? Millions did. Let's start in 1870s Iceland, where being poor at Christmas was a death sentence. Number 7. The Yule Cat. Iceland's class warfare monster. His name was Victorian, the Yule Cat. In the 1870s through 1950s, Icelandic children lived in terror of a creature described in folklore records as larger than a 2-story house, with eyes that glowed in the December darkness. But here's what makes this truly evil. The Yule Cat only hunted one type of victim: the poor. This wasn't random. During Iceland's Indian period, amidst hardships, families were starving, freezing, and the wealthy created a tradition that turned poverty into a blood sport. Here's how it worked. Before December 24th, every person in Iceland needed to own something new to wear. A hat, socks, a scarf, anything. If you didn't have new clothes by Christmas Eve, you were marked for the Yule Cat's hunt. Picture yourself as a 10-year-old in 1890s rural Iceland. Your parents are wool farmers, but the harvest failed. There's no money for new clothes. December 23rd arrives. You watch through frozen windows as wealthy families parade to church in new garments, laughing, singing. You're wearing the same rags you've worn all year. Your mother tells you to stay inside. Lock the door. Don't make a sound. Because tonight the Yule Cat hunts. According to Iceland's National Museum records, children found frozen to death in December were often recorded with a chilling note. The cat took them. The real horror? This wasn't about a mythical monster. Parents used the Yule Cat threat to force children to finish wool processing before the deadline. Work faster. Spin more. Or die. Rich families understood the game. They flaunted their new Christmas clothes while poor families were excluded from church services, literally barred from worship for being too poor. It was class warfare wrapped in folklore. The Icelandic Folklore Archive documents families who couldn't afford new garments hiding in their homes for days, terrified of community judgment. Some elderly poor were found dead from exposure, having avoided town entirely during Christmas week. In 1932, poet Jóhannesur Kutlum wrote the official Yule Cat poem, cementing this terror into Icelandic culture. The verses describe the cat prowling between houses, peering in windows, deciding who lived and who died based on their clothing. Here's the twist that should disturb you. Icelandic children still know this story today. It's still told, still remembered. But if you think terrorizing poor children was bad, wait until you hear what English king scheduled as Christmas morning entertainment. Number 6. Christmas executions. Tudor, England. December 25th, 1538. Smithfield, London. Families are leaving Christmas morning church services, children still singing carols when they're directed to the town square for special entertainment. A man named John Forrest is being burned alive. The flames start slowly. He's screaming. The crowd sings louder to drown him out. This is King Henry VII's Christmas gift to his subjects. According to Tower of London execution records, Henry VI executed 57 people during Christmas seasons across his reign. This wasn't coincidence. It was strategy. English monarchs from 1485 to 1603 deliberately scheduled traitor executions for Christmas as public spectacle. The message? Even during the season of mercy, the crown showed none. Let me tell you about Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury. She was 67 years old, mother of 5, the last surviving member of the Plantagenet dynasty. On December 27, 1541, she was dragged to the scaffold in the Tower of London. The executioner was nervous, young, inexperienced. Some historians believe Henry chose him deliberately to make her death as painful as possible. The first blow missed her neck, hit her shoulder. She screamed and tried to run. Guards restrained her. The second blow. The third. The calendar of state papers records that it took 11 blows over 15 minutes before she died. Blood soaked into the December snow. Children watched from their parents' shoulders. This was considered moral education. Can you imagine being forced to watch your grandmother executed as Christmas entertainment? Tower of London archives document families compelled to witness their relatives' deaths as Christmas warning against treason. Here's the part that makes this more than just royal cruelty. Bodies were displayed in town squares with Christmas decorations, heads on pikes, entrails on hooks, right next to nativity scenes and evergreen wreaths. Public hangings, drawings, and quarterings were scheduled specifically after Christmas morning church services. Children were given the day off from work to attend as educational experience. Executioners received Christmas bonuses for holiday work. Think about that. Someone calculated overtime pay for butchering people on Jesus' birthday. This practice continued until 1686. That's less than 350 years ago. Blood in the snow became normalized Christmas imagery in London. But if you think English royalty was cruel, imagine paying strangers in demon costumes to drag your own children into the snow and beat them bloody. Number 5. Krampus Night Beatings. Alpenregians, December 5, 1895. Salzburg, Austria. A mother pays 5 coins to a man dressed as a horned demon. She's paying him to terrorize her 7-year-old daughter. This was Krampus Night. Krampus Night. Your parents told you about him. The demon who comes before St. Nicholas. If you were bad this year, he's coming for you. There's pounding at the door. Chains rattling. Bells clanging. Your father opens it. 3 men in goat-headed masks force their way inside. This isn't a friendly visit. According to Austrian state archives, these Krampus gangs were paid by parents to physically discipline bad children. With birch whips, soaked in salt water, to intensify the pain. They drag you outside into the snow. You're barefoot, 7 years old. The first lash across your back feels like fire. You scream. Your mother watches from the window. Church records from the 1600s through 1920s show this practice was officially endorsed as moral correction. Parents paid 2 to 5 coins per visit. The worse your child had been, the more violent the beating. Here's where it gets darker. An 1895 report from Salzburg documents that 12 children were hospitalized from Krampus beatings in a single night. Broken bones. Lacerations. One 8-year-old lost 3 fingers to frostbite after being left outside for 2 hours. In Munich, 1902, a child was trampled to death during a Krampus run panic. Munich police records describe hundreds of men in demon costumes chasing children through streets with whips and chains. The worst children? Stuffed into wicker baskets and carried away for hours. Some never came back the same. Survivor testimonies describe permanent scars, physical and psychological. One 1920 account, "I still flinch when I hear bells at Christmas. Here's what should disturb you most. This tradition never stopped. Modern Krampus runs still happen in Austria, Bavaria, and Slovenia. Sanitized, yes. But children still get hit, still get chased, still cry in terror. But paid child abuse is nothing compared to the psychological torture Victorian England perfected. What they did to orphans during Christmas dinner will haunt you." Number 4. Victorian Workhouse Christmas. England. Remember I mentioned number 4 in the opening? This is it. December 25th, 1847. Strand Workhouse, London. 83 children wake up believing today is different. Today is Christmas. Today, finally, they'll eat. Charles Dickens visited Portsmouth Workhouse in December 1838. What he witnessed became the basis for Oliver Twist, but he couldn't write the worst parts. they were too disturbing. Here's how Victorian Workhouse Christmas actually worked. Children were separated from their parents on Christmas morning for their own good, led into the dining hall where wealthy Victorian families sat in observation galleries. Special seating built for this exact purpose. The children are told they're receiving a Christmas feast. They're starving. Some haven't eaten a full meal in weeks. They sit. They wait. The feast arrives. Watery gruel. One slice of bread. The exact same meal they receive every other day of the year. Can you imagine the psychological torture? Being told this is a feast while your stomach aches with hunger. But here's the truly evil part. The children had to express gratitude. According to London Board of Guardians minutes, those who cried or complained were locked in punishment cells overnight. December temperatures in London regularly dropped below freezing. No blankets. No heat. The wealthy families in the galleries? They brought their own children to watch, to teach them to appreciate their blessings, to see what happens to poor people who don't work hard enough. National Archives Workhouse records document that starving orphans were made to sing Christmas carols while hungry. Their Christmas gifts were religious pamphlets about being grateful for poverty. Strand Workhouse death records show 43 children died between December 1847 and January 1848. Malnutrition, pneumonia, hypothermia. Bodies buried in unmarked mass graves. Families never notified. A survivor testimony from 1912 reads, "We thought Christmas meant we'd finally eat. We were wrong. This wasn't one workhouse. This was policy." It continued until the 1920s in some locations. But if you think Victorian cruelty defined the depths of human evil at Christmas, wait until you hear what happened when soldiers chose humanity over orders. Number 3. Christmas military executions. WWI and beyond. For centuries, militaries have scheduled executions on Christmas Day for one strategic purpose: maximum demoralization. December 24th, 1914. Western Front. The war has been raging for 5 months. Soldiers are freezing in trenches, surrounded by corpses, drowning in mud. Then something impossible happens. German soldiers start singing Silent Night. British soldiers recognize the melody. They join in. Men climb out of trenches, walk into no man's land. Enemy soldiers shake hands, share cigarettes, show photos of their families. According to Imperial War Museum archives, approximately 100,000 soldiers participated in spontaneous Christmas truces along the Western Front. They played football, buried each other's dead, held joint Christmas services. For one day, they remembered they were human. High Command was furious. January 1915. British soldiers who participated in the Christmas truce were court-martialed for treasonous fraternization. The charge? Refusing to kill men they'd played football with. Court-martial records document at least 7 British soldiers executed by firing squad, shot by their own side. For showing mercy, let me tell you about one. Private John Smith, 22 years old, from Manchester. He'd shared chocolate with a German soldier named Heinrich on Christmas Day. They'd both shown each other pictures of their mothers. January 18th, 1915. Smith was ordered to shoot at German positions. He aimed high, deliberately missed. His commanding officer noticed. 3 days later, Smith stood before a firing squad of his own countrymen. German participants were transferred to the Eastern Front, the Russian theater where casualty rates approached 70%. British officers who allowed the truce were demoted and sent to the Somme, the war's bloodiest battles. Can you imagine being executed for being too human? For remembering that the man across from you had a mother too. Here's the part that should haunt you. Christmas 1915, High Command issued orders to prevent any repeat truces. The solution? Deliberate artillery bombardments increased on Christmas Day. Kill the possibility of peace with violence. A survivor wrote, "We were punished for remembering they were human." But this was the latest chapter in a Christmas execution tradition that stretched back centuries. For hundreds of years before, the church made Christmas the deadliest time of year for women. Number 2. Christmas witch burnings. Medieval Europe. December 21st, 1626, Bamberg, Germany. The winter solstice has just passed, the darkest day of the year. The town square is decorated with evergreen wreaths and nativity scenes. Next to baby Jesus, a burning pyre. Her name was Anna Schmidt. She was 64 years old, a midwife, widowed. And according to church doctrine, the winter darkness made Satan strongest, which meant Christmas required purification. Statistical analysis of witch trial records shows December had 40% higher conviction rates than any other month. This wasn't coincidence. It was policy. Church officials taught that winter's darkness was Satan's season. Therefore, burning witches at Christmas was holy work. Purification through fire during Christ's celebration. Can you imagine watching your grandmother burn alive while children sang carols? Families brought children as religious education about sin. According to Bamberg witch trial records, approximately 300 women were executed during Christmas seasons between 1626 and 1630, in one city, in 4 years. The typical victim? Elderly widows, mentally ill women, herbalists, anyone who didn't fit. Confessions were extracted through torture in the December cold. Frostbite and hypothermia weren't just consequences. They were tools. Freeze them until they confess, then burn them. Here's the follow the money angle nobody talks about. Victims' assets were seized to fund Christmas church celebrations and feasts. Think about that. The church stole from widows, burned them alive, then used their money for Christmas dinner. Town squares across Germany, Switzerland, and Scotland featured execution pyres alongside nativity scenes. Executioners received Christmas bonuses for holy work. Swiss judicial archives document the last legal witch execution in Europe. Anna Golden, burned alive on Christmas Eve, 1782. She was 48 years old, accused of poisoning a child's milk. No evidence. No trial beyond forced confession. 200 years ago. Not medieval times. Your great-great-great-great-grandmother's lifetime. But here's what truly disturbs me. Every tradition we've covered so far, they all eventually stopped. Number one, it's still happening. Right now. To children. Today. Number 1. The Caga, Catalonia's defecating LOG ritual. Barcelona, Spain, December 2024. Last year. Not medieval times. Last Christmas, a 3-year-old child stands in her living room, holding a stick. In front of her is a log with a painted face. Her parents are smiling, filming on their phones. They tell her to hit the log. Harder. Make it poop. This is the Caga, the defecating log. And if you think this is just quirky folklore, wait until you hear the original version. The ritual originated in the 800 SAD, a pagan scarcity ritual absorbed into Catholic Christmas. According to the Catalan Folklore Institute, families bring a hollow log inside on December 8th. It has a painted face. Children name it. For 2 weeks, children feed the log food scraps every night. Parents hide the scraps underneath, creating the illusion the log is eating, alive. Christmas Eve arrives. The children are given sticks. They're told to beat the log. Make it defecate presents. They sing a traditional song while hitting. The translation from Catalan? Shit log. Shit Turan. Don't shit herring. Shit good things or I'll hit you with a stick. Shit log. 3-year-olds singing about defecation. Beating the log. The log poops small gifts from its hollow interior when lifted. Here's the psychological horror. If the log stops pooping early, the children are beaten with the same sticks as punishment for greed. Can you imagine never knowing if you'd receive gifts or a beating? The same stick. The same ritual. 2 possible outcomes. The Ethnographic Museum of Barcelona documents that pre-1900s versions included actual animal feces mixed with ashes as coal for bad children. They were forced to clean it up while siblings received gifts. Modern versions exclude the feces, but the core remains. Beat an object until it produces rewards, or be beaten yourself. This isn't rare. This isn't fringe. This is mainstream Catalan culture, widely practiced in Barcelona, Valencia, and throughout Catalonia. Department stores sell Caga logs. Schools incorporate it into curriculum. Cultural defenders call it harmless. It teaches children about earning rewards. You might be wondering, why is this number 1? Why not the burnings, the executions, the starvation? Because every other tradition on this list was eventually recognized as evil. They were stopped, condemned, taught in schools as atrocities to never repeat. But Caga, families defend it, museums celebrate it. It's marketed on Christmas cards as charming folk tradition. That's what makes it number 1. Not because it's the most violent, but because we still don't see the violence. The Caga is defended as tradition. So was burning witches. So was beating children with birch whips. So was executing people on Christmas morning. The fact that it's still happening today, still normalized, still defended, that's what makes it the most horrifying of all. Because we should know better. And we don't. Christmas traditions aren't about joy or giving. They're about control, about keeping people, especially children, afraid, about teaching us that authority matters more than humanity. 7 traditions, all documented, all real, and some still practiced. Here's your bonus disturbing fact to keep you watching until the end. In 1647, England banned Christmas entirely for being too pagan. The Puritan government made celebrating Christmas illegal for 13 years. Anyone caught singing carols or decorating was arrested. The irony: England banned Christmas for being unholy, but allowed witch burnings and public executions throughout the ban. They cared more about stopping joy than stopping murder. But here's my question for you. Which of these traditions disturbed you most, and why? Drop your answer in the comments. Because these weren't ghost stories. These were choices made by people who thought they were celebrating.